Hello everybody, welcome back to another Magic the Gathering Arena Alchemy video. Today we've just had the release of the Kamigawa Alchemy set, and I've popped open 15 packs and I got two of this card, Moth Rider Cavalry. So I wanted to build a deck around this after crafting two more. So this card is 2 and 2 white. It's a human samurai and it costs 2 less if you have no other creature cards in hand, or if the only other creature cards in your hand are named Moth Rider Cavalry. It has flying, and other creatures you control get +1/+1, and it's 2/2. So it's 2/2 flyer for 4, but it's really a 2/2 flyer for 2 if you don't have any other creatures, and it gives other creatures +1/+1. So obviously those are slightly conflicting lines of text. However, obviously there's other ways to get creatures other than just casting them out of your hand. So what you'll notice is we have no other actual creatures in this deck, but plenty of ways of making creatures. So this is our build around card. Other alchemy new cards that I'm using are Molten Impact, which is 1 and a red sorcery. Molten Impact deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If excess damage was dealt this way, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell, Molten Impact deals damage equal to the excess to target creature or planeswalker. So basically, if you deal 4 damage to a creature with 1 toughness, you get a little 3 damage left over that you can then sort of add on to your next instant or sorcery. So this is an absolutely brilliant, versatile removal spell. Can in theory remove 2 different creatures for 2 mana quite often, especially against sort of black-white decks or things like that, or white decks. In order to get that sort of second bit of damage, obviously we need some more instants and sorceries, which we do have a few of in this deck. One of which is one of the new alchemy cards, Fragment Reality. This is 1 white instant. Exile target non-token artifact, creature or enchantment. Its controller puts a random creature card with lesser mana value from their library onto the battlefield tapped. To be honest, I think this is probably the star card out of the latest alchemy set, from my quick look at it. As a 1 mana instant speed exile, it kind of puts it in the not quite Swords to Plowshares sort of level of power, but it is that kind of efficiency for, if you cast this on a 1-drop, for example, it'll just get exiled. There's nothing coming back from that because there'll be no 0 costing spells in the opponent's deck. If you cast this on a creature land, that's just it. It's just gone. What removed? Exiled instant speed. If you cast this on, for example, a 4-drop, it has a chance of pulling a 1-drop creature out of the opponent's deck and also tapped onto the battlefield. So even if you just need to get through, so you can remove a blocker with this, you can downgrade something massively in terms of the power of the creature card you're getting rid of. And also, plenty of decks don't even play creatures, and you can get rid of their artifacts and enchantments with this to give them nothing back. So incredibly powerful card for 1 mana. And yeah, an excellent removal spell that helps us sort of get to the point where this deck needs to get going. It needs a few turns to get going. Other cards that we are playing, in order to generate creatures to go with Moth Rider Cavalry, we're playing some of the classics. So Wedding Announcement I won't introduce, but basically we'll get 1/1 human tokens out of this. We're playing Stensia Uprising, so this saw a little bit of play, and I really wanted to make a deck around it before. And they weren't ever that powerful, but to be honest, this one is the first one where it's truly worked well for me, and this is quite often the finishing card in the deck. So for those who don't know, it's 2 and 2 red enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 red human creature token. So again, human creature tokens. If you control exactly 13 permanents, you may sacrifice Stensia Uprising. When you do it, deals 7 damage to any target. So obviously we can manipulate our number of permanents by putting in lands, or trying to get our number of creature tokens to a certain level to hit that 13 permanent target, to use this as a kind of final burn on the opponent. Obviously we don't want to use it too early because it stops generating tokens then, and often the tokens are what's going to grind us the win in the first place. However, it is a very, very nice finishing card, particularly in multiples, because with this it's generating the token and then counting to 13. So in other words, if you've got 3 of these down and you get to 13, you'll be able to sacrifice all 3 of them by letting it generate the token, then sacrificing it. So you can actually deal 21 damage with 3 of these down, and go completely over the opponent's board if there's some kind of board stall. So very good card, especially in multiples. We're also running for the Wandering Emperor. This card needs no introduction. It's in every white deck at the moment, but in this deck particularly helpful for creating us some more tokens, giving us some removal that we need, just being an all-round powerhouse. I've got 2 Suntail Squadron in the deck, so this is an Alchemy card that hasn't seen a lot of play. I featured it in my last video, and that's kind of what made me think about it for this deck. So basically, this deck kind of thrives about having lots of small creatures, and this is sort of perfect refill card for that. I mean, one of the negatives is the creatures obviously need to be cast, so it's not like I'm getting them for free like tokens from my other sort of token generating sources, but you know, and the creatures aren't humans, which doesn't play that well with the Rally the Ranks sometimes. But it's such good value in terms of getting, you know, 5 to 7 1/1s out of this without having to have those creatures in my hand for a long time for Moth Rider Cavalry. So yeah, very good card in this deck. Running 3 Burn Down the Houses, so this is primarily used to create the 3 Devil tokens, as applying that additional pressure with some extra tokens, hopefully built up by our multiple Anthem effects, can be nice, but also it's there as a sweeper if we need it. The nice thing about this is that it also is a sorcery to help trigger the Molten Impact additional damage that we have left over, so they can often sort of be a put 3 creatures on the board and clear out one of their blockers type effect, which is nice. Running 3 Restoration of Iganjo, so this is a nice way to make sure we're hitting our land drops by finding the planes. It's allowing me to discard a card and bring a card back, so it's ramp normally, but also the reason that I've included 2 Rally the Ranks, which is that we can discard them and put it straight into play. This one is a slightly questionable inclusion, possibly, just because some of the token sources that we have aren't humans. However, given that everything from Wedding Announcement, Stensia Uprising, and Moth Rider Cavalry itself is a human, I think we've got enough humans to just about justify it, but I might swap this out for another 2 costing permanent to put onto the field with a Ganjo at some point. But for now, we're going with Rally the Ranks. And then, yeah, this flips to the Architect of Restoration, which itself can generate some more tokens for us. I'm actually running 2 of a Ganjo Uprising. So this is a card I've again wanted to try and play since Kamigawa came out, just because it's interesting. It's a bit spicy, but it's 1 red, 1 white, and X. Create X/2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance at sorcery speed. They gain menace and haste until end of turn. Each opponent creates X-1 2/2 white samurai tokens with vigilance. So basically, they get 1 less than us. Ours have menace and haste. Obviously, the reason that this is potentially good in this deck is that those 2/2s often going to come in as 3/3s, 4/4s, etc. Whereas our opponent's ones will be 2/2 and ours have menace. So it's basically a bit of a finishing card where if we've got tons of mana left over at the end, but we've still got a Wedding Announcement down, putting this in play will often finish the game, because, you know, even getting this to X=5, so having 5/3/3 with menace is often enough to finish off a game. And then just to supplement our removal a little bit, we've got 1 March of Otherworldly Light. This kind of is basically for hitting tokens, because, you know, if we run into a big token of some kind, or a token that's pressuring us early game, we can't remove that with Fragment Reality. So yeah, this is there for that. It's to remove it at instant speed, but also it's just a flexible removal spell, so it allows us to deal with all sorts. Larger stuff that potentially we don't want to fragment. So that's the deck. We've kind of got a fairly standard mana base for a red-white deck. We've got playing 3 Cave of the Frost Dragon, because obviously we're primarily focusing on sort of white mana through this deck, but we've got 1 Suckumzang Crucible of Defiance, 1 Aganjo Seat of the Empire. Potentially could run more, but don't really want to ever risk double drawing those when we need them as lands in this deck. Yeah, so that is the deck, and I will, you know, I've only just made it to Mythic this month, which is probably the slowest it's taken me in a little while, but yeah, this is the deck that got me there. I'm going to play it now a few games through Mythic and see how it does. Okay, let's do it. Here we come, number 1. Alright, this will do. 3 lands, some removal, some ramp, and some win. Warlock class. Yeah, get our cavalry in. So this for 2 is a fantastic card. This for 4 is an awful card. So Cannot complain for 2. We'll have to play this out on red because we can get extra planes with this for later. So playing against Dimir. Okay, I'm guessing that's whatever that cup removal spell's called, can't remember. Bleed the cup, drown in the cup, something like that. the cup spell. Let's see. Okay, no action yet from our opponent. Yeah, we can ramp with this. We'll attack first. Nothing. Okay, no, it's not an instant maybe, so oh, it's counter. I see. Saw it coming. That's a shame, but at least we've got another one. Opponent's going to have to put some creatures on the board for this, I would guess, but unless this is all about killing our creatures, but often this is in like sack creature-y decks. Okay, blue-black, so I'm guessing they're holding on to the Siphon Insight. Yeah, we'll just attack, I think. Although this is, if there's another Saw It coming, it's going to be sad, but it is what it is. We have to get through them at some point, and we are doing damage. So, yep. Keep going. Got another one. Only really need one of these now. Okay, we're not getting countered this time. Except by Spell Pierce, that would be horrible. No. Okay. Getting our 2/2s every turn. We're only on 8 permanents now. With this deck, constantly have to monitor how many permanents you're on, because once you get past that magical 13 and you can't use this as burn, it does make it harder. But this, the nice thing about this is we can choose how many tokens we want to get this to the number we need. So, also even putting in lands is dangerous. Count for this. So we're on 9. This creates 1 before it checks, so 12. So we need 3 more permanents. So we can create 3 with this. If 1 gets removed, obviously we won't get the trigger this turn, but that's fine. So we're going to get 3 3/3s. Okay, test of talents. No more of that. I mean, yeah, don't mind that being test of talented too much. We've only got 2 in the deck, so it's not really what we're about. We'll get to 13 one way or another. And 10. I'm expecting a board wipe or something. Okay, no. That's game. Okay, opponent's like a very reactive deck, but this deck does put down a lot of pressure, so if they can't deal with it properly, then we win. Okay, let's try again. Okay, next game. I haven't got any red sources here, but do you know what? We don't need them early on, and we've got a nice opening hand for white, so yeah, we don't care about Blood Fountain. Get the cavalry in. Nice thing about this is it's a 2-cost card that the opponent has to deal with, really. I mean, as it's flying, often blockers aren't an issue, and then the Anthem effect, which makes it so strong. Okay, we've got our red. Get the Iganjo down. And keep going. Be interesting to see how we fare against the Rakdos Artifacts deck. I think we'll probably fragment this, because we don't really want to leave the opponent with their engine. Had to get ourselves ramping, but now we can deal with this. Yep, good. We can ramp too because we've drawn our second land. So yeah, I think we'll just attack first. I was thinking if I wanted to block, but can't block a Shambling Ghast, and we'll have a 1/1 anyway from this. There we go, there's one anvil down. Obviously they can sacrifice the anvil to itself, but then they don't get their 1 costing creature from it, so yeah. Don't think that's worth it for them, to be honest. Obviously these are coming in as 2/2s due to the cavalry. Not precious about keeping hold of our tokens. I pretty much will always block with them, especially against an aggressive damage deck like this one that we're playing against, where we've got to be careful of the damage we're taking. And we're going to get board wipe anyway. Board wipes, the nice thing about this deck is it really is, it sticks well against board wipes because of all the token generation and the saga. I'll hold on to the burn down the house for now. Not under any pressure really to use my lands efficiently because yeah, end up we've got an empty hand quite quickly with this deck often, which is where the Suntail Hawk to refill and stuff comes in. Suntail Squadron even. Okay, this is quite nasty, Blood Artist and Meat Hook, but hopefully we can get another way of getting rid of this. We've got lots of removal. Okay. Thing is, these 1/1s will be 2/2s next turn, which makes them a lot more useful. So I think this turn it might be best to just hit with the cave and use this after that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's not attack with these, no real need. We're just burning one of them away. So opponent will likely block the Architect with their Cursebound Witch. Yep. Just got to hope that they don't pull anything too good off that. It's the sweeper we don't want them to get really, the -3/-3 sweeper. They can have any of the normally good cards like Cruel Reality or whatever, because sacrificing creatures every turn is not a problem for us. Okay, picked up a Rally the Ranks, although our creature types are a bit varied here, which is why I was saying in the intro that this isn't necessarily the best card in this deck, but, you know, we're going to be splitting out another human. Well, actually, we're probably not, because we're going to be attacking, but so maybe it's best to use it on devils. Thing is, we're most likely to get more humans or even spirits in future. But, yeah, let's see. So opponent's got their Dragon Spark reactor down, so just have to be wary of the damage ticking up from that. But our beatdown really is going to start hitting hard now, so opponent's probably only got 2 or 3 turns left in them. The more they can put on the board, the worse it is for us, because obviously the Blood Artist Meat Hook combination we don't have removal for yet. Okay, that's nice. That's removal for the Blood Artist, which we'll use now. Doesn't mean I can't cast Burn Down the House, but we can hit with the cave, so that's okay. We haven't got enough mana to sacrifice it with anything else, so only got 1 red, so good for us to get rid of that now. Obviously we could rally, but I'm kind of incentivized to hold on to it just because I don't know what type is best at the moment. better off hitting with a 4 for 4 damage, I think. So opponent blocks, that's 2, 6. This will hit. This does 2 at the moment. We're getting close to being dead, so got to really try and get that final pressure on over the line here. Don't know if we're quite going to make it, but see if opponent can find the sweeper that they need, because they can sweep away all of these potentially. Okay, at least these are coming in as 3/3s now. Yeah, they found the sweeper. That is a bit frustrating. Oh, they can't sweep all of them because they have to choose a type. I thought it was the one where they chose not a type. Okay, that's good. We've kept a bunch of them. Okay. At least we're not dead this turn. So Molten Impact can actually kill off both of these creatures because we've got 3 damage in the bank. And we can then cast Burn down the house to win. So, or I think it'll be a win. We're going to gain 2 off Meat Hook, 14. Then we're going to have, yeah, we're going to have 15 on the board. Shit. I did not think about that. Oh. Opponent was actually alive there because we had 3 damage that we had to cast on our own creature. Opponent was on 12. They'd gained 1 from Meat Hook, putting them on 13, and we'd only have 4 3/3s. But I guess it was still likely to be a loss next turn. But yeah, that was a slightly early scoop from the opponent. Okay, let's try again. Okay, next game. Even though we keep winning, it keeps giving us a number. We're still on 99% at the moment, but we'll get there. So we're missing a second white source for these 2 at the moment, but we've got hopefully enough to get there. I mean, typically on the draw 2 lands is enough when you're aiming for a 3 land, you know, ramp card. So I would say this is a keep, but it's just, yeah, obviously 2 lands is never ideal. But since we have the Molten Impact to buy some time, hopefully we're not going to get too run over by mono white or anything. Opponent with their Sarkhan skins, taking a long hard think about whether to mulligan or not. Come on. Opponent's clearly queued and then gone for a shit. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we've got 1 more land. Not quite the colour I wanted, but it'll do. It gets us to the 3 for this. I'm not sure about this one in this deck yet. I've only got 2 of them in there, but when you've got it in your hand early on, it's just such a brick. Okay, playing black-green. Undead Butler. So opponent's on some kind of reanimator. We might as well kill this, since they don't get anything useful back from their graveyard at the moment. Could get a ghast, I suppose, but that's fine. If opponent's playing a 1-costing creature on turn 3, we're happy with that. Okay, Kami of Bamboo Groves. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. Yeah, nice with Forsaken Crossroads, which comes in tapped anyway. Okay, Sultai. So it's full ramp reanimator by the looks of it. I want to get this ticking. Already got the 2 lands we need to utilise it as ramp. I'd be very interested to see what the opponent's deck does here. Okay, so the Colossal Sky Turtle in there, something that puts itself in the graveyard to reanimate. And old Stick Fingers. No, we'll put the red one in tapped. Because I want the white. I guess we'll hold for the Wandering Emperor here. I wonder what reanimate. I mean, 5 mana tends to be pretty much your guaranteed reanimation level. Okay, whenever a card is put into your hand, so they're not doing reanimate to the graveyard, reanimate to the battlefield. Maybe just pull back to hand. Not sure what's going on here. I don't really have any way of interacting with the opponent's graveyard. I think if we were sideboarding, we'd play a couple of farewells in this deck, but we're not. So. We'll get rid of this while we've got the chance. Okay, Sky Turtle to put Sky Turtle back in hand. So, got a couple of choices. Obviously we can Cavalry, but then we can't burn down the house. Burn down the house would be just for the tokens, because we don't want to kill our own Emperor and Architect. Opponent's 1 mana off playing these out. To be honest, we're not that scared about 6/5 flying. It's got Ward 2, which is slightly painful, but could block it forever with these Hawks. I think it's a burn down the house here. And we can kill off their Ghoul Crawler. I'll leave 1 back as a blocker. I know we've got the Architect as well, but I don't want the Emperor dying just because I wanted an extra damage. And I'm not entirely sure what our opponent's deck is doing, so it always makes me play slightly more cautiously than I would normally. If I'm playing against like mono white or the Rakdos Kiki-Jiki decks, then I know exactly what they're doing, so I can play a bit more liberally against them. This is creepy, isn't it? Okay, I'm not sure what our opponent's thinking about here. I guess their play is to return the Kami of Bamboo Groves to their hand with Colossal Sky Turtle, and then channel it to pull 2 forests. Don't know. These do play interestingly with other channel cards. Okay, Shambling Ghast for a treasure. Okay, they've got another Ghoul Crawler. And getting a duplicate of their other Ghoul Crawler. Okay, we do start to hit hard now though, so should probably put out a token here. Yeah, we'll swing with these, then create a 2/2. It's pretty much always better to go wide with the Emperor if we have the option to, just because of the Anthem effects that the deck has. We've only got 1 down now, but there's plenty in here. And we can then Suntail Squadron in their turn, which will get us 6 Hawks in our hand. So although this has been sat there like a brick for however many turns, it now comes into its own a little bit, as we can spit out 2/2s, as much as we have white mana for them. As if the opponent can deal with this board as it is. at least playing against like 3-color decks, we're not facing things like Blood on the Snow, because it's too hard to play snow lands in 3 colors really. It's just like one of these sort of Sultai Value engine decks, I think I'd call it. It's like, keep getting stuff back from the graveyard and hope to grind your opponent out, but I'm not sure this one's quite right, just because the value, it's going to take them too long to get it. These Ghoul Callers, they're quite a fun mechanic, but I've not actually ever seen them work in a very effective way. Opponent's just spitting out as many blockers as they can there, but that's fine. Okay. So, we want to put a 1-1 on this because we know it gets through. Unfortunately, we have to pay full cost for this because I've put all these Hawks in my hand, but I'm pretty safely attack with everything here. So we've got 4 in the air, so opponent has to not take 6, and the minimum power of these are 3, so I can only let 1 of the ground things through, which is death. No, not quite death. They can let... yeah, that's death. So the Anthem, the Moth Rider Cavalry coming into its own here. Didn't get a chance to use all the Hawks, but yeah. Interesting deck from the opponent, but yeah, not quite going to get there in the time it needs to. Okay, onwards and upwards. Let's try again. Okay, next game. Kako Rosso, 007. We've actually got a number on our name now. Okay. Not the perfect starting hand, but we've got 3 lands on the play, so we'll go with it. Do we want to... I mean, this is... I think this might have to get cut from the deck. The creature type is just too awkward, because here we can only generate samurais, but... I mean, the Moth Rider is a samurai, and we get them out of a Gunjo, so samurai is a thing we can name, but then all the humans aren't getting buffed, all the spirits aren't getting buffed. Not that helpful. Might have to cut it. Find another 2-drop to put in here that we can bring back with a Gunjo, maybe one that sacrifices itself, or something that, you know, means it'll be in the graveyard. That isn't a creature. That's the trick here, though. I don't really want creatures, because then it just means we can't play the Moth Rider on turn 2 if we have it in our opening hand. So I'll see what other 2 costing permanents there are we can potentially replace this for. Getting a bit fed up with it. Okay. I think I will play this. The thing is, now we've got this that generates humans. Sod it. We'll put this in. Put it in on humans. It's going to be the most useful longer term. It is slightly dangerous leaving the spirit around, but I need to get our wedding announcement down. Spit out 2/2s. Turns out it was a good choice to put it on humans. I'd like to draw a red land really to be able to play Stenzia, but any land will do. Opening up these Emperors. Light the way. 1/1 on target creature or vehicle. Return target permanent to opponent's hand. That's an interesting one. Okay. I think I'll get the Stenzia down. I kind of want to get our board building. Whilst I do need to deal with this, opponent did have 1 open mana and this card which lets them return it to their hand, so it just felt slightly awkward holding this open for that. Okay, we can attack here. If the opponent blocks with a spirit, obviously we can flash in an Emperor for first strike.
I've learned much during my travels. I have got new
And then in for 2, and drawing a card with our wedding announcement. So we're on 12 for Stenzia already, so when you're on 12 when it's on the other person's turn, it means it's going to be very hard to stick to 13, because it means I could play no permanents next time. Unless I can manage to lose one. So I think we give up with using this as a burn this game. Just use it as a token generation, because otherwise we're not playing any of these. So I think I kind of want to fragment one of these, potentially this, because it's just a brilliant life gain source. So I think what we will do is fragment that. Let them pull out Spirit, that's okay. Get the other wedding announcement down. Put in a 3/3 and then attack with everything. So we get the draw. Opponent has blocked. And then we've got this in for, doesn't matter, for burn down the house. Okay. That should be a good game here. I mean, this is a very interesting deck to be playing at Mythic with Celestial Unicorn in it. Opponent's clearly trying some janky version of white here. We've had a pretty rocketing start as well with getting all these down. Okay, that isn't going to save you, unfortunately. GG. Yeah, we'll try again. Okay, next game against Zet, 92%. Tends to be that if they're in the 90%, they'll be a half decent deck. It's pretty much the, you know, or at least half decent, I should say. And below that, they'll pretty much be an awful deck. So we've got Molten Impact to buy us some time. Opponent's mulligan to 6. Put a black land in. So I think I've said this before in my videos, but in this situation I tend to always play the basics out first, so I know what I need to keep for this. However, in this case, I would like to play Moth Rider, so I could put this in on white, but opponent's hold open 2, and that, you know, the fear of getting countered with this is too high. I think I'll just play this out and pass back. Okay. Opponent getting out Kaito for a draw discard.
I'll be taking that now.
We will just get down wedding announcement whilst we can. Start that value coming. Opponent's discarding Infernal Grasp, maybe because we hadn't played any creatures, but it does show that playing Moth Rider would have been bad on turn 2 because it would have been killed, and I don't want it killed.
I know something you don't know.
What do you know, Kaito? So, got a tap land, which isn't great, but we can play this out. I think just get Stensia in and then pass. I don't think we need to do much more. Get the value building. The more tokens we have, then they all become 2/2s when the announcement flips, and then they become 3/3s once we drop Moth Rider. So, yeah, we can build our board here. Okay, no we can't. Walked into a bit of a meat hook there, but never mind. What does this give? A treasure. Okay. Opponent's like to get a frustrating amount of value here, but so we can't really let them ultimate Kaito. So what could be our play here is impacting one of these creatures and putting in the Moth Rider, which will give us, if we impact the Stowaway, it'll give us 3 damage in reserve, and I can then uprising next turn, and then utilise that spare damage on Kaito, and then they won't get to ultimate. That's the plan anyway. Obviously, I will have to put this white land in to be able to do this, but there we go. Now our creatures are 3/3s, and the Moth Riders are 3/3 as well, so The opponent can obviously sweep us with another meat hook, but they have to take their own creature out. And we can get a whole bunch more creatures back next turn with this. We have got both of our 2 copies of Genjo Uprising in our hand in the top 12 cards, but it is what it is. Don't really want to have these all game, because ideally it's a late game win card, not really an early game play, but we can use it for what we've got. Okay, opponent's just angling to trying to get to the ultimate of Kaito here, but we're not going to let them. Okay, we've got the option of burn down the house now as a trigger for our 3 damage as well, which is actually a little bit more tempting, because this does provide the opponent, well, so we can cast this for 3, gives them 2 2/2s. Whereas this actually gives us hasters to use. I think I'll go with this. And then we'll kill off the thief. I was going to use the damage directly on Kaito, but given the opponent's tapped out and I've got this to at least guarantee a hit. Okay, opponent's seen enough. I think they were just banking on getting their Kaito to ultimate there, but yeah, okay. We will try again. Okay. Next game. 94%. Crixatus. Let's see if we can break top 1200 here. Yeah, pretty nice opening hand. See, when you compare Rally the Ranks with Wedding Announcement, that's actually quite a nice combination. And then we've got our Molten Impact in case we need it. Which we don't at the moment. So the opponent's playing the Rakdos Kiki deck by the looks of it, which is fine. We actually do quite well against it. Let's see if the opponent's going to make us discard here. Yeah, thought as much. We'll get rid of 1, and we'll let them take the extra card. Because our value engine starts rolling now, so they have to do something. Really what we want to do is pressure this deck, make them play stuff out to the board, which we then can remove. Okay, that's our Wandering Emperor gone, which is sad, but it is what it is. I don't know if we want to bother getting rid of this yet or not. They can't, obviously the worry about leaving it around is that they clone it with Kiki Jiki, but if they have another one and I lose the Aganjo, I'll be pretty sad. Although losing this would be bad too. We'll play this. Getting 2 damage in has swung it for me. Always take some extra damage if I can get it. Okay, they've used our Wedding Announcement against us, which is a bit of a waste of a turn for them. I mean, they don't have that many synergies with it. Okay, definitely going to crack out the burn down the house here. Although, say that, they're only 1/1s because this is humans and that hasn't flipped yet. No, we'll do it because this is going to flip at the end of this turn. Clear this 1/1 out of the way. Added bonus. And then opponent's going to take 7. We draw. And then they all become bigger. So that's lethal on the board now, if the opponent doesn't remove our creatures in a nice way or gain some life. And then we've picked up a Fragment Reality to help us get through, so that's nice. Nice cheap way of pushing our creatures through. Okay. Opponent's still got a lot of cards in their hand, but having to pay life to play them because they got them with the painful bond. Okay, so they've got a life linker here. maybe the best thing to do is use this to kill off the lifelinker. So if I play this, I can get a plains player and then use that. I can't fragment either of these creatures because they're tokens. If we don't kill this, they can block profitably. Yeah, I think we have to use the Aganjo to kill the lifelinker. We don't want to give them a profitable block against our devils. They're not even using it for that, but I still don't want to let them take the life back, so if we get them low, then our devils are going to finish them off. And also the cards that they, you know, they're expensive cards now. They can't play without costing themselves life anyway. That's also a bit of a dangerous move. What could you possibly take out of your deck? Yeah. I think opponent was just suiciding on purpose then. GG. And yeah, Rakdos Kiki down. I was surprised how little I'd played against that deck, to be honest, since Croaky's played it and made now everyone play it. But yeah, we can beat that deck, particularly on the play, so we'll try again. Okay, next game. Against Lumic. I'll be interested to see how this deck fares against the higher Mythic players, which we haven't really played any of yet, but it's not really had a proper test. Yeah, this will do. We've only got 2 lands, but we're on the draw. No land turn 1. Always start to get twitchy when you're going through your first 10 cards. Just need those 3 lands in the top 10. Okay, got another one. So play this in on white. I could play the cavalry out here. Probably not under too much threat aside from a straight up destroy, which I don't mind using. Obviously the other option would be rally the ranks, but yeah, I think this is actually a good play because the opponent utilising their turn just to destroy our thing isn't that much of an issue for us. We've got so much value in this deck that honestly don't mind that too much. Obviously the stacking anthems are nice, but it would cost our opponent their turn 3 to play a 2 costing card. That's a bit of a shame, but I'd much rather have the wedding announcement than the Aganjo, so no. Okay, we didn't get our land, but that's okay. Molten Impact here because I know I'm going to get 1 left over, which will help me deal with these ghasts. If I draw a land, I can rally the ranks to stop the ghast death killing off my tokens as well. When I play both of these. Okay, Deadly Dispute on 1, but they're not using it to kill off the tokens, which is nice because they're seeing going to grow. Okay, well we can easily choose that. It's just what else? If I get rid of this, then I don't have a way of utilising my 1 extra damage, which I may well want. This is a nice anthem, this is a nice anthem. I think this is a removable anthem, which I think against this kind of black board YP deck is slightly less good. Not to mention the double white requirement. Okay, the Soul Ripper. Opponent should have attacked there really, because they've got a bit of a sweep if they do. We'll attack for the draw off wedding announcement. Obviously they can kill off 1 of our tokens, but they don't want to. Didn't think so. Okay, these are up to 3/3s, and we've got our Fragment Reality, so that's nice. Gonna crew the Soul Ripper, and we'll get rid of it. Yeah, we can let them see if they want to sacrifice a creature first. And now I can get rid of it. Assume the opponent's only got Shambling Ghasts and Eye Twitchers to pull out as 1 costing creatures, but let's see. Yeah, and it's an Eye Twitch. Okay. Yeah, obviously we're just getting the uprising down here because they're coming out as 3/3s. A 3/3 every turn sounds pretty good to me. And we can hold on to the impact for if the opponent draws a bigger threat. But for now, this is going to get to 13 quick, and the opponent's on 7 already. So it's looking positive. Okay, the opponent can dig once, get rid of a duress. Okay, lol, it's pretty nice. Gives them a few turns of defense against us.
My will cannot be denied.
Okay, so we're on 10. Can't actually cast Burn Down the House. But I'm incentivized to cast Impact before we cast that. So I think I'll just attack. Obviously, Eye Twitch is going to give them a mascot exhibition if they want it. But doesn't matter too much. Okay, interesting. Leaving us with 9 permanents.
Subservience will.
I'll Molten Impact the Lolthit. Don't want that putting more blockers in next turn.
Not defeated.
And we'll keep spitting out 3/3s. Just need 1 land really to cast this and we'll win, but okay. Not enough to bring back Lolth, not enough snow land, which is nice. Oh god, that isn't actually nice. Okay, we're relying on our token engine now. Yeah, well, might as well remove that. And start getting our tokens building up again. Can't believe that top deck, Blood on the Snow. Very vicious. The 4/4 is going to be an issue, but I don't think the opponent's going to be doing much attacking. We need to just draw land here really, so we can threaten with Cave of the Frost Dragon as well. I mean, that'll do too. So we'll get another token here, and then I'll put 7 1/1s into my hand next turn. Which we can do. The nice thing is it's an instant too, so the opponent doesn't know we're going to do it. So they might think they can even attack here, I don't know. Okay. It's only attacking, but I meant attack with this in case they wanted to trade it, thinking that we're pressured for creatures. Oh, I should have done that. Saved myself 2 damage. That's my bad. I misplay it all the time with this deck. It's actually got so many different lines and synergies in it. It's hard to actually play it right. I do misplay all the time, so feel free to have a go at me. Okay, one of the lands I've been asking for. So for now, we're just going to put in a whole bunch of these 2/2 Hawks. Obviously, the only reason not to play them all out would be suspicions of a Meathook Massacre. Because a Meathook for 3 here would be... Oh, I'm an idiot. I missed lethal there. So if I'd have played out just enough Hawks to hit the Stensia to 7, we could have won. Oh my god. Misplay of the Year award. This is definitely long... This is far from over if the opponent pulls a Meathook. Which is what they are digging for. Although they need an extra land as well now. Okay. I would have felt so bad if we hadn't won there. Phew. Misplay central, but still managed to pull through. That's when you know you've got a good deck. When you can misplay like a king and still win. GG's. Okay, very quick look at the stats on untapped.gg here. As you can see, we've got 100% win with this deck, not over 9 matches, of which I showed 7, there were a couple of boring ones. I did try to get a loss because this deck can lose, trust me, especially with me playing it and the misplays. But I didn't on the ladder today. One of the things I'm particularly happy about with this deck is it fares well against the Rakdos Kiki Jiki decks, which is what these are. Have played against some more on the way up here as well. And against the Dimir decks. So this is like a large chunk of the meta at the moment, obviously mono white as well. So we've played against pretty much you know, all of the classic things on the ladder at the moment. Selesnya enchantments, mono white, mono black, Rakdos and Dimir are like the kind of big things on the ladder that you're going to run into all the time, and we've done well against all of them. That's both on the play and on the draw. I think it doesn't matter too much with this deck because of the value coming out of those token generation engines. You know, you're always going to get there because there are enough of them now, and I think the Moth Rider Cavalry really tips this deck over into being useful. I think as I start to get higher up in Mythic, we might start to struggle a little bit more, like top 500 or so, just because people will know how to play around things like the Stensia Uprising, and how to keep, you know, they have better removal potentially for some of our Anthem effects, but you know, we'll see. I'm going to keep playing it and tweaking it. As I said, the Rally the Ranks is the next potential change to this deck, and if I do, I'll sort of post an update in the description. If you had a good time watching the deck, if you've got any suggestions for how I can update this deck or improve it, I would be keen to hear them, so please leave me a comment. If you like what you saw, please do like and subscribe, as it really does help me out. Okay, until next time guys,